Dame i gospodo, molim vas da pljeskom pozdravite damu koja je putovala Hrvatskom cijeli ovaj tjedan, koji se u našoj zemlji već osjeća kao kod kuće. Shalini Sukumar!
Hello. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's lovely to be here, and I first want to thank Anya for that lovely presentation that didn't just wake us all up, but was also super informative and amazing. I'm not sure how interactive my presentation is going to be, like I'm a mathematician by background, but I'll try to keep it as fun as it can be. So I'm going to be speaking about one of the hot topics of this information age, which is personalization. But before I get started, I can give you a short introduction about myself. I think that's exactly what they did before, but I don't understand Croatian, so I'm going to give you another round of exactly what you heard. So I'm Shalini, and I work as a product owner data science at booking.com. But what that means is that I just get involved in doing data-driven product decisions across the website through the funnel. But before I moved to Amsterdam and got started with booking.com, I have worked and been at quite a few other countries. I was originally born and brought up in Bangalore, a city in the south of India. Among many other things, the city is known to be the mini Silicon Valley of India. So I'm not sure how true that is, but it did introduce me to computers at a very early age. So you can call me an IT baby, like I was born during the IT boom. And yeah, after that I've spent 12 years in Singapore and 3 years in the US, and I worked with quite a few firms. So yeah, quite old. So, not sure if that's working. Yeah. Here's the agenda for today. I'm going to be talking about quite a few things, but I can't get into the detail. Like, while I do believe that data science and big data is an evolving discipline, and I would love to speak about it for hours, I have like around 43 minutes left, so I'll be scratching the surface of quite a few things. Like, I'll probably introduce you all to booking.com. I think you all said you have heard of booking.com, so that's amazing. And I'll speak about the problem that I'm trying to address with personalization, and I'll also spend some time speaking about how booking.com does it and what we do for personalization and even other sorts of data science approaches at Booking. The Booking story. So we were founded at 1996. That makes us really old and hopefully really wise in terms of internet years. Not many people know this, but we are a Dutch company. So we were founded in Amsterdam, and we have close to 3,000 employees in Amsterdam. But we have around 15,000 people working for us worldwide, for the customers, for the partners, for everyone who's involved with Booking. And we have close to or even more than 1.2 million properties right now, which is growing by the day. And Booking focuses on both the clients and the partners, so it's a company that's looking to empower its customers to experience the world. So, what do we do? Like, what is our model? So we are basically a middleman between customers and partners. So in one side, we are a client and customer-focused company, but in the other side, we are also a partner-focused company. So we are focused at getting as many partners on board. And we also try to help partners improve their targeting when it comes to customers. So we provide them with a set of tools, we provide them with a revenue management system, we provide them with whatever it takes so that they can help target customers better. So what we want to do and what we ideally hope to be is one platform where you can find a place that you want to visit. I mean, you find a place to stay wherever you want to visit in the world. Booking.com is tailored to every type of traveler. So we see that there's a growth in the number of different kinds of travelers that exist in the portal right now. So 1 out of 5 bookings is made by business bookers. What's interesting is we've constantly expanded. So I think very recently we added properties in Cuba, we added properties in Iran, and hopefully we'll have a foot everywhere in the world. People have started using their mobiles more often. Like all of you know, like it's probably one of our hands right now. We all have 3 hands, right, left, and our mobile. And so the number of bookings we make from the mobile have gone up. So I think 1/3 of the bookings that booking.com gets right now is from the mobile. So we do constantly find a need to innovate, and we find a need to reach out to different kinds of customers that we cater to. But the flip side of having so many customers and being so present everywhere is that we create a paradox of choice. What is a paradox of choice? So it's something that probably people speak about quite a bit, but it's just the fact that there is a misery of choosing from billions and millions of properties and choices that are available in the internet for every user right now. For instance, if you're traveling to, say, New York, and if you want to stay somewhere in the New York City, then you have like 400 choices of hotels available for you. If you're going to Tokyo, then you have more than 700 hotels available for you. If you want to like look at the number of languages that they speak in India, the whole of the country speaks close to 2,000 languages, ignoring the dialects. And if you look at EU, it's 23 languages. And if you look at the world, people speak more than 6,000 languages. What happens because of all this is that travelers right now are having this problem of having too much choice. So statistics suggests that each user reaches out to at least 36 sites, or could reach to up to 36 sites before making a single booking. And a lot of people make multi-leg trips. So it's like, say, if I traveled in Croatia now, I wouldn't just come to Zagreb, I would go to Istria, I would probably check out Dubrovnik. So it's like you try to make as much as you can out of a single trip, so which makes it even harder to plan. So around 56% of travelers say that they plan their trip during their travel. So it's like, I'm in Croatia and I'm booking things and I'm figuring out where to go and I'm figuring out what Croatia has, which is fun, but is also kind of taking up time where you should be relaxing and doing nothing. So the ideal solution to this is that we all should try focusing towards a model where less is more. So engagement, like a life cycle of a user, goes from awareness to loyalty. And it's not, personalization is not something new. It was always something that was done in the past, but it was done for the privileged. So we believe that if we had a customer who was our golden goose, who would spend a lot of time and energy with us, we spent a lot of time and energy doing personalization for them. But the reason we couldn't scale it for everyone was just because it was technically difficult to scale. It's difficult to understand what people want. But that is changing now with evolving data science and with all the big data, with disrupting the industry. People are becoming more aware of the kind of things they can do to personalize every engagement at every level. And what we see is that when you do a personalized engagement in the beginning part of the cycle, when the users have still not interacted with you, what that leads to them doing is to drive them to do something. So it's like, if you know someone is just browsing booking.com and you understand that, oh, actually they're looking for a beach holiday, then you can drive them to the best kind of holiday that would suit their needs. But once they're making the booking, once they're reaching there, once they're booking, once they've already booked their first hotel, then it's about winning them back. Then it's about understanding what else will they do in this trip, what else will they do in their next holiday, will they want to come back to us when they do a business trip. So it's about gaining loyalty and retention. But what is personalization for booking? Just because I've been speaking for a while, let me show you a short video that could explain it slightly better.
Brace yourself, because this hotel has some amazing slippers. And how about the 2-kilo barbell in this resort? Into soak, this lodge has some. And this hostel has ice cubes. And this hotel has eggs. If you're into it, we know a place that Booking has it. Liquid. Recreational sand. Electric wind. Aggressive relaxation. That guy. Round things. Tanning apparatus. Whatever is going on in here. Colorful beverage accessories. Maximum plushosity. Airborneness. Find that one thing that you and only you find awesome on planet Earth's #1 accommodation site. Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
Yeah, so personalization, what's personalized for someone needn't be personalized for someone else. I could like ice, just saying, I might not. But let's start with some definitions. What is personalization? Okay, personalization is when the system tailors itself to cater to the person better. For instance, if you're on Amazon and if you're in, say, Amsterdam and you're shopping for a raincoat, Amsterdam tells you that, why don't you buy these rainproof gloves? That's personalization. So if you're in Singapore and you're looking for sunglasses, then it wouldn't tell you about that because it knows that's not what you care for. If you're in Netflix and you're watching a certain TV show, it tells you what other TV shows you like. That's personalization. So subconsciously, even without us being aware of it, a lot of systems right now tailor their behavior according to what you do. And what is customization? Customization is changing something to fit the needs or requirements of a person. So what is the difference? I remember I told this to my mother and she was like, same thing, you know, but it's not really the same thing. Like personalization and customization have a difference. So if, say a woman is driving her husband's car to take her child to work, if the car adjusts its steering, it adjusts its seat, it adjusts the rear view mirror, and it makes sure that it's ready to accept the baby cabinet, then that's personalization. But if the woman enters the car and if she changes the seat and she changes the rear view mirror and she basically puts her baby seat where it belongs, then that's customization. So customization is what you do once the person realizes what he wants, but personalization is when the system realizes what the person wants and does it itself. It's quite intelligent. But how does it work? How do you do this personalization? So we believe that there's a lot of data that's available right now which helps us cater to people's needs. So if we can segment the data into 3 main segments, and of course there are a few outside this which are outlier data, but this is mainly where we get data that teaches us stuff. First is user behavior data. So it's the kind of things you do in, say, an e-commerce website. Where do you click through? Where do you make a transaction? Where do you drop off? Where do you browse? Where do you spend time? Those are behavior data. Then there's product data, like, so whichever product you're selling. So if it's booking.com, then you're selling hotels to the customers, then it's the hotel data. So it's the rating of the hotel, it's the review of the hotel, it's the facilities that the hotel offers, the address, the kind of hotel that it is. That's the product data. Then there's contextual data. So contextual data is whether it's Christmas, or whether you're looking at a long weekend, or whether you're looking at booking on a weekend, or looking at booking at a weekday, or even things like something that's more that works for Croatia might not work for the rest of the world. And that's something that Vesna talked about. Her campaign was different for Coca-Cola here, even though it was different elsewhere. So there's a lot of contexts to keep in mind, both user context, the place context, things that matter in relevancy for that problem in that time. So using this data, we build a bunch of recommendation models and engines that is capable of judging what the people want. Like the engine could speak about the taste of the user, the engine could speak about the intent that the user is going to behave in, it could speak about a lot of things. And you can use these models to personalize the behavior of a website or personalize the behavior of a product for someone. It's quite amazing, but why can't we just ask people? Like, why can't you just reach out to people, ask them what they want? You divide customers to customer segments, get what they want, and then implement it. And that way, there's no room for error. And also, it's much easier because these models take time to build, a lot of maths involved, never fun. But unfortunately, that's not possible. The short answer to can we ask people is no. And there are many things to this. There are obvious problems like it's not scalable, it's not easy to ask people, but there's also other problems where one, from the customer side, there is intent versus behavior. And what we see is that customer research suggests that consumers are not aware of what they want until they see it in a product. So I might believe that having all websites in the color of pink is exactly what I want to make transactions with all websites. But when I see them in the color of pink is when you will know if that matters to me or not. It might matter, but intent versus behavior is hard to predict. And the second thing is, a product side, what is seen is that people generally make bad decisions. So statistics again suggest that 90% of product decisions that you make are either inconclusive or have a negative impact. So let's think about this for a second. So if you're a product owner and you come up with 10 changes that you want to make on the website, only one could work. And the other 9 changes are probably not going to do anything to the website or going to lead to a negative impact. The problem with this statistic is it's accusing this to be something that happens to everybody. And the second is that it's such a high number. But the good side and the flip side here is that when you realize that it's a 9 out of 10, you understand how easy or how quickly you should fail and how small you should make your changes so that you can come back quite easily. So that drives me well to the next topic, is what we do at booking.com. So in booking.com, we have this, we do believe in something which Anya touched upon quite a bit also, was about failing fast and making all your changes or all your updates and incremental updates, so you have put lesser effort into them, where you then let data to drive their change. So we ideally do this with A/B testing or experimentation. So Booking has over 9 years of experience with A/B testing. So it kind of makes us quite old and hopefully quite wise even in that matter. So what we do when A/B testing is we come up with a change, a data-driven change, and we show the same change to 2 different sets of similar kind of consumers, and we try to understand which of the two base models do they prefer. So I'll just run a couple of examples by you. So someone came up with the idea that when you perform a search, that is the booking.com search page, what you see in the top right corner there. So someone said that the yellow box right there, which is collapsed right now, you need to make it a little bigger to help people search better. So it was a simple idea, and the thing is, ideas can come from anywhere. It can come from AI, it can come from consumer research, it can come from focus groups, it can come from data analysis, or it can come from gut feeling. You look at it and you're like, I don't like it, and that's my gut feeling. But it's just an idea. What you do out of the idea is you build a hypothesis. So you build a hypothesis that I think that making that search box a little bigger would help people search more effectively. And when people search more effectively, they make a quicker and faster booking with booking.com. So that's your idea, that's your hypothesis. You put your hypothesis down, and then you come up with metrics. So metrics, like any other platform, would be both shallow and deep. So shallow metrics are things which are obvious to the change and concerns the change, which is people click on the search button more often, people might scroll to the left side more often, people might scroll down and see the results more quickly, things like that. But the deep metrics is what really matters to us. So the deep metrics are something that the firm stands for. So in this case, it means conversion. So booking.com could mean how many of these users who see this change go and make a booking with us. And this is very critical. It's very important for us to keep in mind that every change you do is at the end trying to impact the deep metrics rather than the shallow metrics. Because yeah, a user could search a lot, but if that doesn't mean conversion, then it doesn't exactly, or it doesn't directly mean it's a good change. So you define your shallow metrics, you define your deep metrics, and then you make the change. So there's the base and the variant. So one side it's a collapsed box, and the other side it's a box which is expanded. Can I see a show of hands? How many of you think that the base looks better? Okay, how many of you think the variant looks better? Okay, quite a few hands. So the good news is you all were right that when this experiment ran, the variant did do better than the base, and this is what you see in our website right now. But what's interesting is the answer to this question depends on when I asked it, because 1 year back, the same experiment actually ran to compress the search box, which was big, to something that was smaller. So there's also a context to changes. Yes, this worked now, but at a different point of time, maybe people prefer something else. Let's try another one. So this is our landing page for cities in booking.com. So this is the page for Paris. So you go to Paris, and then there is a base where you have a search box in the left corner, and then there's a variant where it's right in the middle. Which one do you think did better? Do you guys like base? Show of hands. And how many of you liked variant? Okay. This time all of you got it spot on, because the variant is the one that worked, and variant is the one that we have right now in our website. So these were just a couple of examples, but we have a lot more that happens. So we run a lot more experiments than you can imagine on a daily basis, and we believe that every change we do gets tested with a hypothesis and with metrics, and we think that that's the right way to go about things. But why do we think so? Why do you think all people must do A/B testing? So I've put it down into 4 points, but there are a lot more, but let me try to cover as much as possible. So the first one is that, like I said, the statistic shows that all of us are wrong most of the time. So if you're making 90% of your product decisions which are inconclusive or which doesn't lead to, which leads with a negative impact, then it makes more sense for you to test to see which is that one change which made that impact. Second is, we all are in a consensus here that we want to do something profitable, and we want to do something that makes sense to the company. We don't want to just waste our time, and with such good man-hours that go behind each change, we want to make the most out of it. But the best way to do that would be to get customer sentiment to drive the product development, which is exactly what A/B testing does. So what A/B testing is capable of doing is it's capable of understanding how a customer reacts and what a customer wants every time a change is happening. And that's the best way to see if you are going on the right track. And lastly, we want to say that we want the decisions to be based on data. So the idea here is that there could be a scenario where there might be people who are aggressively for a certain change, or there might be people who are not sure of a certain change. But it's still no one's decision to decide. It's one man's opinion against the other. But once you have an idea, and once you have it tested, and once you have user feedback, you're in a better position to see and decide whether it's something that you want to do. And we want that drive to come from data, and we don't want it to come from people. But even if you don't believe me blowing our own trumpet and telling you that this is the right way to go, there is actually research that shows that Booking.com has done the right thing. So there is an equity research paper that's published which shows that Booking.com has led to 2 to 3 times more conversion than anyone else in the industry, because it has given the user-driven A/B testing model of doing changes. So there should be something there. But there are some scenarios where you can't be testing and where it's difficult for us to come to a decision. And these are few scenarios where that holds good. So firstly, you don't have enough traffic. So if we have 2 people here on stage and both of them believe that the entire website should be pink, then it's good enough because it's 100% conclusive, but it's not enough because that's nowhere in comparison to the traffic that Booking.com holds. The second thing is you do not know what success metrics looks like. So in this case, we're quite lucky because we know success is conversion. But there are a lot of products where success could be something what the customer perceives, or it's something what the customer takes away based on their interaction with the website. And in cases like this, it's hard for us to determine if our change did well, because it's very hard to understand the sentiment of a user based on what they perceived. Because the signal might take time, the signal might not be immediate, the signal might not be direct, it could have a building effect. There are many reasons for that, but the success metrics needs to be clear for us to be able to make the right change. And lastly, it's because you believe that you are the expert. And this happens too, because there are people who think that they know design better than consumers. And that is true. There are people who do know design better than, say, me, because I have no experience with UX design. But if I'm a consumer and if I believe that something has been helping me make a booking, then in a very subtle format, I think I am a better way of judging if the change makes sense than letting it to an expert. So if you think about it, what we've done in Booking is we have an incremental way of building up the website based on what the consumers want. So it's years and years of small changes that the consumers dictated, which build the website to what it is. You might ask a designer his opinion and he might hate the website, but that's not what we are aiming to build. And there's also some common testing mistakes. So there's big shot A/B tests. So the idea is that whenever you make an A/B test, you should make small changes one at a time. So I could make many changes together where I can say that you move the search box to the left, you move like the filters options to the right, you increase the text size, you change the background color, and then I could test it, and whatever result I get, it doesn't necessarily tell me anything because it's a combination of multiple results together. So it's important for you to test one thing at a time so you're able to understand if your change was the one that impacted conversion or if it's something that happened because of something else. And the second thing is fringe A/B test. So this is something I slightly talked upon a few minutes back, but it's about how sometimes you tend to value the shallow metrics more. So there have been times where you are so married to an idea that you believe that you need to make it work because it improves a fringe metric. Like I think that we should change the search box and make it bigger because it improves the number of times people make searches. But that needn't necessarily be something that has helped conversion. And if that is the case, then it might not be worth spending time on it. So it's important for us to understand whether we want to focus on the right kind of metrics, because if you're not, then you're probably doing something, but you're not doing something that's required by your platform. And the last thing is assumed reproducibility. So right now we use a lot of devices. So people use their phone, people use their tablet, they use their laptop. There's a lot of devices that people use. And we assume that when one change works in one of the devices, it could work everywhere. Which is not necessarily true, because you have a different experience when you use your mobile, you have a different need when you use your mobile, and you have a different need when you use the desktop. So maybe you're just browsing in your desktop and you want to make a booking when you come to the mobile. So it's important for us to not assume reproducibility, and if there is a change in the context, we need to retest things again. So that's kind of bringing me to the end of my presentation, but before I go, I just wanted to share a few key takeaways. One, less is more. So we're all moving to an era where we don't need to give the consumer a lot of choices. Less is more in this time and age. To address personalization. So personalization is no more something for the privileged. It's not something that we are not capable of doing for all our consumers. So it's something that we should start looking at and start to include in our product. Third, test everything. So this is a simple one. I think that it's important for us to not assume that our ideas or our hypothesis is right without testing it. So test everything. And that brings me well to the second point, which is retest everything. And then the last one is question everything. So it's not important, I mean, while it's important to do tests and it's important to have data-driven decisions, it's also important to understand that the human aspect to what we bring in and what consumer research brings in and what we are capable of doing by questioning things is way more than what we think the machine can do. So I think it's important that we bring the human element to things and we question everything we see and try to see if there's some value there. And last is something that I think quite a few people have touched upon, which is very important, is data is power, but with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility. I know that's cliche, but data can be misused. You can misuse statistics to speak the language that you're speaking, and it's important for us to not overlook emotions because of data. Even if you ignore all that and you think that, you know what, Shalini, I don't want to remember anything from your presentation, this is surely a few words that I want you to take back home, which is very close to my heart. Travel, explore, empower. It's important for us to get experience from all over the world. It's important for us to reach out of our comfort boundaries and learn what's happening around us. And I wish that I can motivate you all to travel with this short video that I have for you, but let's see.
Very fast. It's fun. It's kind of scary, but it's fun. Ow. Oh no, I'm good. Don't worry about it.
Oh, nee.
Tell you what, it can't get much better than this. Stand up here. Let's go.
That's it, guys. That's it from me. Any questions?
Hi.
Hello.
Nice presentation, and I have just one question and one suggestion. But the question is, you mentioned enough data, enough traffic is important for A/B testing. What is enough?
Okay.
And the suggestion is, please, if I go to Booking.com and check a room in London, don't remarket me 6 months later with London. Please do not do this. I will not go there again next 6 months for sure. Or if I go there, I know Booking.com.
Okay. Okay, let's start with your question. So, okay, so your question is, what is enough data? So that's relative to what you're speaking about. So if you're speaking about Booking.com, then if you're speaking about the search result page, then we have close to, in the top part of the search result page, we have close to 16 million, how many of a million not transactions, but views you have per day. You need to make sure that your change is evaluated relative to that. So it's slightly a mathematical problem, but say if you have 50 people and you're evaluating with one person, and you're doing, if there's only 50% traffic, and if you're doing an experiment for one person and the person keeps changing every day, then there's time that you need to run this experiment is much longer than if you run it for say 20 people. So there is a power calculator that calculates the amount of time that you need to run given your traffic, and if your traffic is 2 people, then it's going to be like many years. So, you need to get it relative. But I would say it depends on where you're running your change. As for your suggestion, then that's the same thing that I touched upon, where personalization, the good part, it's like a flip side. So the good part is that you can cater personal inputs to people, but the other side is the machine is never as smart as a person. So it's like we train it with some data, and maybe the data that was trained was a model that picked up from historic transactions, and it believed that since you searched for London, London is a place that you care for, but that might not be true in your case because you went there for a one-time vacation. So it's something that is an evolving science, and I accept that the input is quite useful, but I also it will take time before it gets there. So, yeah. Any other questions? So, yeah, that's it then, guys. Nice speaking to you.